continue with the question about the exile. But then before that, you said that you met Kamal after you came
after he
prison.
go out from the jail. I met Kamal, and met a lot of people from that part, because they were in the movement who are nearby from the university, and a lot of friends of us are in, and I met Kamal on that time, and from that time we work a lot. And I live in Morocco on 81 to go to Canada, but before that I go to France, but I didn't study, just doing activism between France to Belgium, and from the union students. And after that I decided to go to Canada because it was an opportunity to go to study there, to finish my studies. And it began in December 81. And from that time to in Canada, we arrived. Don't know where I'm going. Arriving in a country where there is snow, a lot of snow, and December, it's the period of the snow. And coming from Morocco and France, this was how the climate is quite good. But when I arrived there, this first shock. First, is all thing is white, and my colors in my country it's yellow, sand, and it was like a, how do you call it, a shock. And but it was not easy to stay in the country and have no contacts, no friends, nothing. But hopefully there was the university. We met a lot of people. Met a Moroccan union students was there, not too big, but a small group. And from that time, it's a cultural shock between a country where people are, in my country where people hospitality, a lot of people, there people are individuals living in their own apartments, having their, they live in a frame that they are not don't have this habit to this frame. We don't have any how do you call it, you can call it like a agenda or schedules. We wake up in the morning, we don't know what we want to do. But there, the people there was like 8 o'clock they have something, 9 o'clock they have something, and we are disorganized. We don't have the value of the time. But the people in Canada, the time is important. For us, the time is 24 hours, more, maybe 80 hours, 48 hours in one day. It's not a problem. And it began, to be adaptation with new culture. It was a little bit frustrated because, it was a university, different way to study, different way to learn. But the people were so funny, so interesting. And the Canadian people, Canadian population they are not people who are closed in themselves. They still open, like to know people, like either they are not hospitality, but they are quite interesting. They are curious. And this curiosity bring me to meet people, because I know, like I said before, when you have having something in your idea that politicals or activism. It's easy to find the people in the activism, or to find. It's not like you come and you are just students and studying. Look, it makes me very fast connecting with the people from the activists in university. And I'm student, I'm foreigner student. You don't have a right to strike or manifestation, cannot work. It's a little bit hard, but with those people you find a way to how to work and how to go in the city and how to know the people and how to know that. And but the funny things in this life in Canada, it was in 82, where they're doing a strike, student strike, about the expenses of the university to pay. And we were doing, in Morocco, manifestation. It's yeah, we have there is a police, and for the police you run and you throw the stones, and you are you are fighting, break the windows of the cars and the police and everything. But in Canada it was so quiet. People are just having a pancart and having the free school, and turning around like a burrico, like a donkey. You turn around, and we decide in the night until 4 o'clock in the morning. Decide no one enter to the university, and we put glue in a key for the nobody enter. And the police came. We don't do anything. They came. They take the glue and they open the university, and there is a lot of students entering. And I go in the front of the door with 3 or 4 people, one Tunisian and 2 other Canadians, and we stopped them not to enter. And he said to me, people come, no violence, no violence. Come on, no violence. We decide nobody enter to the university, nobody must not enter to the university. And okay, turn around. And after that, one time police came, it was a reaction to me, I took my pancart, and I shot the police. People, I say, you are crazy, no violence. They okay, fuck. No more strike with you. And I go. It was the last strike I do in Canada in '83. It was really it was really funny, because I said this is no and time. We grow in our life and you understand things. But I tell them, every time they have strikes or manifestation or something like that, I just sit and look to the people, don't enter. One day, it was the AMI, it was like after the OMC, it's trade agreement. The big
WTO.
WTO was in Canada, in Montreal, and in WTO in Montreal was a big strike. We do, it was in 98, 99, 89. Yes, is it 89? No, 98. I'm just, yes. And it was in Montreal, and there was big manifestation, people coming from states, and all that. And we were stopping the people to enter to the building, all the officials. Really, we would do I was very happy, because the people were like me. They don't want nobody enter. And there was the police find a place from the parking to enter all the delegations by this part. We know that, and I go with those grips to stop. And I grab, the tie of one of the delegation. I don't know from which country. I grab it and I put it enter us with us, and like we kidnap it. to the side and tell them, if you enter there, you will be killed, you know. And the guy was trembling, shaking. And people come to me, Hamouda, don't do that more, no more. You go and you see us, what you are doing, you are too violent for us. And for that time, I stopped manifestation. So finito, no manifestation, no strike, I'm not good for that. And this is the funny things. The way that you are coming from a south country and people coming from the north country, there is the black blocs and they are violent more than us. I'm not with this kind. But because in Morocco, when we decide to close something, we close it. We fight with the police, they cannot enter, they cannot enter. And there it was, this is one of the funny things, I think, in my life in Canada, to be in that way, with the activism and everything. And also funny things. Also, I was in alternative, and we are working with the unions. We're friends with them. They help us for funding. But those unions, in the same time that we were striking against WTO, the union was the day after they entered to the meeting. They was in the meeting, and we were frustrated from them. But they are friends of us, and we do a militia by night with the BAMs, and we go into the building of the CSN. It was a CSN, the union, and we write things like you kill people with your accord, on that. And it was we are group, two girls and 3 guys with my car, and doing every kind of every night we do a group. We put graffitis in that, and it was people are speaking about that. And in my organization, people don't know that we do that. And the union come to us, I don't know who's doing that, and it was a secret for us until now. Nobody knows who do this graffiti. And this is one of our funny things in my activism in Canada.
So this shouldn't go public, or it is no problem now to go public, the graffiti. It's actually really nothing that serious. But I think this kind of idea of sticking to law and order, I think that's you demonstrate, but then you just do it so gently. Yes.
Yeah.
But then when you had all this so-called violence, you didn't have any trouble with the...
With the police?
The police?
No. Because the people come to me and said, you must stop that, and then I left. I just go to sit there and look to the people. It was the only way. Here in Morocco, I was arrested because of the manifestation. I was arrested because we were like a group, small group, that we distribute the sticks, not sticks, the
pamphlets.
The pamphlet, and it was an illegal pamphlet. And they came in school. I was it was 18 years old, and I go in from the school to my house, to my home. I pass by a friend home, and it was 8 o'clock in the night. They come two men. Hey, can we ask you something? Yes. Prank car, and we go 1 month. Didn't see my father look at me. The hospital. They look at the police. Nothing. 1 month. And after that, I go out. They came to my home. It was like dirty, smelling. It was really hard. And entered my father. He said, "What happened to you?" I said, "What happened to me?" I thought, "You are crazy." Yeah, okay. and I leave the house and I go to my friend's house in nearby the sea, and we stay there. And after it was the end, it was still 2 months to finish the school. And returning back to school, and when I arrived to school, said, "Where will you have no medical, you cannot go from a school and after returning back to school like this." And I go to my father to find a medical paper to return back to school, find somebody to give us to me, return back to school, spending 2 months going the same strikes, because it was the 81, it was the big strike in Casablanca. What they do, when they strike it, manifestation, they bring everybody, they arrest. And they took me again 1 month, and I never go to the court. Never go to the court. Always you stay. Never beat me. Never, no violence. Just harassment. You will stay here with no water. You can, when you want to sleep, hey, questions. Like harassment, violence, psychological violence. And they then want to know names. I don't know any name. It's all people had names, but no names. You can make Hamouda, but you are not Hamouda. You are Abdurrahim, or you are Kamal, or you are, and that give us. This is the time, but in Canada, I never be arrested. All the time, I know how to escape, how to, when it become hot, how to go other way, to change life. And this is a little bit my life in Canada.
But you were in touch with your family in Morocco?
When I was in Canada? Yeah. I keep in touch, like 88. Every time I enter in Canada, from Canada to Morocco, I was in the airport asking questions, where have you been? Because I was in the file, in the airport. The time they know, because it was really police state in Morocco. And but never arrested, never. After that, we entered in Morocco. We came to see my family, having not too much, 1 month in every 2 years. It was this. It was hard, but it was in that time. It was really an active way that you forgot that you. And I became Canadian, not in my way to thinking, but I feel Canada is my country also. I don't feel racism or, it was really good people, they makes you feel good, and you have friends. I still have friends from Canada that they are like my brothers and sisters, you can count on them. When I return back, I have a huge people to see, and I can take my phone at 6 o'clock in the morning, call them, they saw my name, and they response, the answer. This was, but it was really hard for me in the last years, because I spent 24 years, like in 2 years, last 2 years, it was very hard, because I was working in a group, Alternative, where I was living, working on a lot of the Arab countries, like Yemen, like Sudan, Egypt, Palestine. And those countries was, the real ones, it was Israel, Palestine, and Yemen, and Sudan. It was very hard for me, because I'm Arab. And the people, when, for example, was in Sudan, and going to in a mission with the mission of the government of Canada that we get in the contract to do a mission on oil and human rights. What the Sudanese government, it was in '96, and what the Sudanese do with the oil, if they buy arms, or what they do with the money, and there was with the delegation all Canadians and only Arabs, and the Arabs, when they saw me, you are from Morocco, you are our friend, you are a brother, and you are looking what we are doing now. You are not, you're not a good Arab. No, I'm Canadian. I'm not Arab. I have a nationality. I'm Moroccan, but it's my name. It's Hamouda. It's not because I'm named. It's Hamouda. No, you are a treat, and it was hard. And at the same time, I have a conviction. I do that because I know that there's a problem in Sudan, in North and South Sudan, and it was a. When you go to South Sudan and you see the people living in the poverty with arms, children with arms, and fighting against the North Sudan, and it was and it was really hard. It was really hard for me, and the same time in Yemen it was North and South Yemen, and the southern Yemenis, they are friendly people and. Discussing with them politics, but we were every time I enter in a hotel, there was coming people from the police asking what I'm doing there. It was a harassment from, and Yemen. It's a lot of arms, and it's not like Canada. In Morocco, the arms are everybody can buy it in the souk, and you are scared because people are all have knives and. Kalashnikov, and they are playing with Kalashnikov in the street, and it was really. And after the Palestine issue, when you enter and you are in Israel, I have a Canadian passport, I go to Jerusalem West when there is the Israeli living, and you enter in the bus, and you know that all the people knows that you are Arabs, but you are with them, and you feel, you feel. Suspicious, you feel some people are looking to you, but nobody look to me, but I feel, and in Saturday it's Sabbath, and Sabbath people are don't doing anything, and you must do things because you are not Jew, and you feel you are scared. I stay home, don't go out because I scared about some radicals shut you, okay? And after this last years, I was really, how do you call it? Psychologically, I said, okay, I must stop all that. I will return back home. It was the decision that returning back to Canada, to Montreal, to Morocco, and I returned back to Morocco. And this is season 3.
But you were already married.
Yeah, I was already married. I married 2 times. I married in '86, my first marriage. We spent like 5-6 years, and we divorced. But we are still friends. We divorced because we don't have. We are friends and politically, but we stopped loving each other. I stopped it, and I didn't marry until. In 2003 in Morocco with Karim, but we go out, but the marriage it was in Morocco with her and her family, and it's my second marriage.
So you came back to Morocco.
And I came back to Morocco before Karim, and I stay here, and returned back to Canada. She came here to see until I have an apartment, and everything was okay, and she entered back and she came to me, and she came to follow me to live together here.
So coming back to Morocco, then so it was quite a kind of an identity problem because you were in the Arab region and you are being seen as an Arab, but then someone who's an outsider.
Yeah.
But then when you came back, so how did you feel?
It's the same thing that I will when I work there. I am not Arabs, I am Canadian. Still people, what you are doing? And people think that I will maybe spend 6 months and turn back. I'm not gonna, not gonna fight this challenge. It was very hard. It was not easy because I have another mentality, the way to work. You know, it was like a deformation, you know, of living. But I am like it was hard, and at the same time, for me it was learning, another learning, how to work with the people and to change, because the people are not going to change. It's me that must change. People, they live like I go to Canada, I change my way to work. It's the same thing. I turn back and I re-change my way to stay and to be. It took 2 years and 3 years to be okay in this way. And yes.
Then you had you had some ideas about relating to the people for the about Maoism, for example. But then how did the life in Canada and then later back in Morocco change your ideas about the people or the NGOs? Because NGOs are different from the movements, from the peasant farmers or the workers. Yeah. But then you have chosen to work in alternatives, which is more also a policy kind of organization. And so how did you manage these?
And it's because alternative was it was an NGO, but a political NGO. It's not an NGO doing humanitarian and building things, and we do politics, real politics. Palestine, Sudan, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone, you know, Congo, Brazil. We're doing politics, no, I don't do any development or something like that. Really, we support the groups. In returning back to Morocco, working with movement. It's not NGOs. It's really movement. They are doing lobbying against women's for the women's right. You know, it's more I never work in an NGO or that they do humanitarian issues. Really work in political issues. This is one. And the second one, it's that the work with the youth and work with the movement of youth and working with the internet, with the social media, not the time there was no social media, but new technology, and always we think about do new thing to help the movement. For the youth, looking for something new, to build universities of youth, to discuss, to give them the memory, you know, not doing youth by the youth. And at the same time, for the new technology, we want to give the small association working in the in the grassroots in Rashidiyah, in the desert, or Zagora, or to use these tools to connect with the people, to connect their work with the people. I think this is the way that we change from this more ideology of Maoism and Marxism and all the things to work with other things and to pass the messages, to let you think by themselves, when you work on development, you give not money to the people, but you give them the knowledge. They can, from their knowledge, they can build things. You give them, for example, we are working on a project that we have small money, not to have an expert come in to you and tell, okay, I'm doing your strategic planning, or I'm doing your strategic resources or something like that. We tell the people, you must do your strategic planning, do it by yourself. Maybe you will be wrong, but you will learn from your things. But I give you an expert, he will do it in 2 weeks, but he never serve you to anything. But you do it, and you will find your way to do. And this is, I do it for 4 or 5 years, all around Morocco, but a small organization, not the biggest one. And to give them the knowledge, they buy themselves, to give them the tools, and they succeed. A lot of them succeed to work with the women's issues, with the children issues, with the paysan issues. You know, it's the way. Let the people know. You give him, you push him, not to give him. You push him to build himself from inside. Because he had everything. He had the knowledge. He had everything. But you just push him to. When he said to you, "I'm going. I tried in 1 month to do that." It's in the strategic planning. He know that, but he's knowing not the words, but he know that he do that. But not in a way, with time and schedules and calendar and everything and risk and but he use it, but he let it in his mind. Now you give him the chance to propose it in a paper, and this is, yeah.
But in Morocco, it seems that it is a society where it is somehow more open than in other Arab regions. And I also heard from you last time that you were fighting against the kind of privatizations in education, and still up to today, then you still have those gains.
Yeah.
So that is quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's for the education, for example, we still have this fight for that. The civil, say it's Moroccan civil society, where we don't like each other. Everybody. This is from Trotskyist. This is from from liberal. But one thing, we are together. It's when we have one national cause. For example, if we have a fight for the Mudawana, the code of family, for the women, all together people are together. When you have against the government in a law that he want to put, for example, for the internet or for the freedom of speech, like this, people are resembled, are joined, are united to that. But when they finish, I don't like you, you don't like me.
So they don't even work together on a particular cause. But then here in Morocco, why is it that people still can work with each other on specific issues, even if they are separated in their ideologies or in the different political affiliations?
I think because we fight because the civil society are old. It's not new. It's from the 50s, 50s, 60s. We have some historical issues. We have our unions in 56, 54. The unions, they are all than that, but it's at the same time in the world. And they have the background, and also because all the civil society movement, okay, where a majority people are in exile, they were in a prison, they were persecuted by the king, by the police. It was unique, one party doing everything. It's like dictators. And in that time, people are united, and still united, and it's like it's still in our heritage. For that it's easy to mobilize about women issue, either if you are working on the agriculture movement or working on the education. But when a national issue, people they join themselves. Like for example, for the marriage of the children, there is a movement, big movement. The associations because we are solidarity with this movement. All the people, because it's a human rights issue. When it's a human rights issue, when it's a social rights issues, people really faster they join themselves. For example, things that cannot, in Morocco people don't be solidar. The movement of the youth who want to have employment in the government. Because we are not agree with them that all the youth have diploma must work in the government. They must go to work other places, but they don't want to do anything. They will just work in the government, in the public function. This is, we are not agree with that. We support them, but we don't gonna do a big manifestation with them for that, because we are not agree with them. And also because everybody, when they found a job in any community work by the government, he go out and no, he's outside. Say you're not still with the movement. Okay, I find a job. Bye. And that movement, he cannot mobilize all the civil society movement, because they are. They think just about themselves. Okay, this is one of the we cannot, but we are against that the police beat them, because it's violence and they have right to do manifestations. Freedom of speech, freedom of manifestation. This we can do a solidarity with them, and because of that, but not about the ideology for the work, for example. And this is why I think we are mature to think, to discuss, to arrive to that. And this is very important.
Because in many other places there was a common enemy, the dictatorship or the party, but then after that, then the movements split and have a lot of internal problems. But it seems that here in Morocco, so you still have some kind of cohesiveness in the civil society.
Yeah. For example, I'm going to give you an example, do comparison benchmark between Tunis and Morocco. Tunis, they had unions, they had associations, they have dictators. But now, after the revolution, the people don't want to work together. Don't like. They have a fighting because they put politics in the social issues. They put politics in a civil society movement. We have political parties. We are from the political parties. But when we work in a civil society, everybody had his color. But we don't use it for the civil society. Understand me? We don't use our how do you call it? Our affiliation to a party when we are in a civil society. For example, if Mass, there is people from different parties, but we work together for the same issues, without putting our affiliation to the parties. Espace associative is the same. A lot of groups are the same.
Is it special for Morocco? Because for political parties, very often they would want to run associations which are their sort of outreach. So the party will have its influence in its trade union, its women's group, its youth group. But then you are saying that it's not quite the same.
No, we have that in Morocco also. We have that. Parties, their associations, their unions, we have that. But you have the others. The others who create some associations or group to work together with different parties. Because you are not a party, you are an individual. You have your competences, you have your leadership, and you create something politically without no agenda from a party, to work with the people, with the strike of the people, with the education issues, with women issues, with development, with the street neighborhoods, with the children in the street. No politics on that.
So you are saying that there are groups that are affiliated to the political parties,
Yeah.
and yet there are other groups which are very strong. They have to be strong,
Yeah.
and they are
Not
autonomous
autonomous, yes.
from the political parties.
Yes.
And because they work on different agendas, even the parties have to come and
I can come from any parties and be in this group, because I'm not coming with my affiliation. This is the limit. People, if you want to come to work with us, let your party in your home, and we are all together, because we have a cause. We have how to call it? We have an objective to do that. Okay, not because I'm doing it for the party. I'm doing it because I'm doing it for the society. This is the difference.
Yeah,
and in Tunis, no. In Tunis, a lot of people are still linked to the parties because it's new. The party is new, the movement is new, and in Morocco, it all was already done in the 60s. And Morocco, after the 73, 74, they began the creation of the movement of association not affiliated to the parties.
Starting from 70s,
74, 73. It's a new movement.
And this is special for Morocco.
Yeah, really special.
Not even like in Egypt or...
In Egypt still have that, but it's not like as strong than Morocco. Not stronger than Morocco. Morocco we have 45,000 associations. It's a cultural. It's cultural. If everybody wants to do association for his neighborhood, association for the climate, for the environmental issues, for the water, in each place you go, you find associations. Like I said, 45,000 in this country, and everywhere. And from development for women, for education, for it's a cultural issues.
That is starting from 74.
Yeah.
When actually then you still had the king, who was very much holding on
holding
to
everything,
power,
yeah.
holding everything, and yet at that time then you had this mushrooming of associations. So well, this is something I cannot quite understand, or I'm actually interested in, because if you say the starting point was 74, and that yet 74 there were there was the failure to depose the king and to make a republic, just 3 years after that.
And so, two coup d'etat and everything. But this is give people to be how to work together, how to create things outside the parties, because the king and his police would check in the parties. Their strike, their fight, it's against the parties, not against the people, And we create associations to go out from the parties to work, like human rights issues, Association for Human Rights, It was the only association created for the human right, for the prisoners, defending the prisoners, okay? But it was illegal, not legal, okay? Until 78. 78, the government give them the legal receipt. But like this association, was a lot of them not legally recognized. It was underground associations, you know? And we do association for development and we do politics in it. We do association for مواهب الشعبية, for the children, and we train them to do like a Palestinian kifada in the camp, for the summer camp. We bring some Palestinians or EPO, PLO, and you know and they do, you know, with arms and you know, like a Habashan movement and everything in the camp for the children. You know, it was Tufula Shabia, it was Lamej, was all association for the youth, for example. But in that youth, you can meet bigger one or younger one in that, because you are doing just education issues, but we are doing politics in it. Because you cannot allow to have a party where the party is chicken. You know, this is the way. Women's issues, you know, that...
So that means actually you politicize the social movements without using the instrument of political parties.
Yes, without giving them that the left is good or the right is good or the Islamist is good. You know, we do politics, but the politics, not the ideology.
But
this is the difference.
Is there a longer tradition back in, because such kind of culture, it doesn't come up just like that. And because if the monarchy represses political parties, then it could be that the civil society is also quiet. Yeah, it's also feels futile. But then there must be something in your tradition, or in the way that you have neighborhood committees, or in the way people relate to each other in some of the traditions that make this possible.
Yeah, for sure, because we have, in Morocco, it was living with the tribe. And when you live with the tribe, you live in a community. And you must, for example, when they give you an example, in the South Morocco, the people, you have, you live in a castle, you know, they call it Kasbah. In the Kasbah, you have 4 communities. You have the black, you have the Amazigh, you have the Arabs, and you have the mixed, who married. And everybody live in his own things, okay? And when you decide, for example, for a problem, the peoples are in the meeting, discussing, without fight, discussing to resolve. They don't go to the government, or the king, or they resolve their problems. They call it Twiza. The name is Twiza. Twiza is when you are we are all together to solve problems, water problem, marriage problem, trees problem, agriculture problem, land problem, without going to the court. People stay, discuss, and you know. And also the same way about changing the leadership. Each community take the leadership every 2 years. Every 2 years, one of the community lead the Kasbah. And this was in all Morocco. All people live with tribe issues. Maybe that can sociologically can be linked to that what you said about. I think this is the way that we always work with consensus, discussing until we all agree. This is why the social forums, we love that, because we work with the consensus.
tribal tradition has been there for
for years, centuries and centuries,
yes,
and still now in the, rural areas, people work with that.
in the rural areas.
Yeah.
But then all this so-called modernization process, they disrupt old traditions and bring people and uproot them. So how has this uprooting process been going on?
From 70s. From when the UN Habitat and World Bank went to urbanize the people, the rural people, to control them, to consummation and production. But Morocco, still we have that tribe. Well, either you live in the country, in the city, and you go back to your homeland, you still use this. But when you are in the city, you go to the court and the police.
So, about what percentage of the population will still be in this kind of self-governed
I cannot
mode?
give you, but
The rural population,
rural
half
people
of that?
still live in that. Rural people still live in that. Like I said, we are like 50-50, 60-40 people. 60% of the population still live in the rural areas, and people still live with that. You have a problem, you must call everybody to sit down to resolve the problem. Land problems, marriage problem, like I said,
Yes.
and still have it.
I think this is very important. very
Yeah,
important
very important.
because it is not offering an alternative to modernization. It has been the mainstream, it has been the tradition, and only there have been the disruptive factors with modernization and urbanization. But then we see so many problems about crime, about uprooting, about disillusionment in the cities. And so, there have been ideas proposed on questions about re-ruralization, or not necessarily going back physically to the rural, but then there are certain ways, modes of living of the rural, or this kind of traditional folk mode of living, how these could be brought back. But I think this is one question we have been very interested in, and that is this is also the question we are going to see when we go to Chiapas next month.
Okay.
I'm going to Chiapas and then to Peru with the Aymaran communities. And they also have this kind of system of rotating the leadership, having the council of elders who would take problems into their
We
hands.
still have that in Morocco, in the south and the north, in the mountains here in Morocco, with the community Amazigh, the community Hassani community. They still live with that. They solve the problems with that. You can don't put you in jail, but they can say to you, to like 4 or 5 months, don't contact anyone of the community, and you live in the community. It's the prison for you, but you live with the people and nobody speak with you. This is the judgment, and people accept it. And he went after 5-6 months. It's okay. He returned back like nothing had happened. It's the way to it. There is a I think I must call a friend of me. I have a book on that, about this way to work. If I get it, I can send it to you.
Yeah, in English or French?
I think it will be translated, but I will ask a friend of me who is working in university on that.
Yes.
He can for sure there is something in English. If it, I will send it to you. I will send it through.
I'll remind you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because I think we are now looking at alternatives, and so how can there be the alternatives which have been practiced for a long time, which may only now be in fragments, not as a whole, but still they would be very relevant when we talk about ways of self-governing.
Yeah.
And instead of being dependent on the state or on funders or on the UN for things. But at the same time, then I feel that in this region, then now we see so many conflicts, and well, of course, one thing is the Israel question has not been resolved. Is there, and of course, behind that, then is the USA's hegemony for the geopolitics, and then within the countries in Libya now is in such a mess.
Iraq,
Syria, Sudan.
Yeah.
So I think I hope that, well, maybe for the Forum on Human Rights, we could tackle some of these issues, but then be drawing the movements in, so that something meaningful could be done, instead of just making statements about the situation. But I think, for example, there's such a lot we can learn from the way you work here. When you mentioned in the 70s, there are when now you have 45,000 associations, and then they are mostly funded by themselves, or
a lot of them funded by themselves, having small grants from the city communities, or Ministry of Education, Ministry of like when you have things on education, the Ministry of Education give you grants for literacy, and if you are working on justice or for the women's issues on justice and court, the Ministry of Justice give you a little grant to work, just to work, not to pay your workers. The workers are volunteers, and but there is some organization who had money because they do studies, they do professionals, they are more academic, and you have you have each a lot of kind of association. You are not the same, but a lot of them they are self-made associations. The smallest one, all self-made. It's really community associations. People don't maybe can live. When they had money, it's for just because you want to give gift to the children, or doing a caravan, medical caravan. This is the way that they have money, but not they continue to work. They are doing agriculture. They can go to the Ministry of Agriculture to have seeds and pumps for the water, things like that. There is some help from the government, because after 97, the government understand that the civil society movement are good to help, because is the other face of the parties. It's the fourth power. It's a social movement now. The king, the new king we have, he loved the civil society movement, because they help them. They want to be, because they are doing more interesting thing than the political parties, about creativity, about knowing Morocco outside, about thinking about this youth doing good things, and they are how to call it? They are the movement are moving. They move the way the society. There is things. There is. And this is from 97. It's a really change with the new king. It was more freedom, more for the association, for the groups, for the freedom for associations, freedom for. Because Hassan II, his father, like I said, we have organization, but you don't give you the receive that you exist until 1992, 93. It's 93. It's become the change. Until when he returned, when the King Hassan II died, his son, the new king, they opened all that.
So well, we'll finish with this question. We'll have the season 2 next time. So in places, for example, like Bangladesh or in many places, so you have a lot of organizations which are NGOs, but they are dependent on foreign aid. And so somehow, as soon as the foreign aid stops, then it's the end of it. Yeah. So the NGOs actually are very limited in what they can do. But you are saying that in Morocco, because of this tradition, many of them are people's own way of organizing. So it is more the self-organization than something being initiated by NGO, by funders from outside. So is that the case?
Yeah, it's the case. There is some NGOs that they are created because there is a fund, okay? And like, for example, US aid came and helped the association, and they become bigger, and tomorrow no fund. But like FMAS, for example, or ADFN, women's group, or Association for Human Rights, they are created without no money. They do activities without nothing, okay? Because we are militant. I can't tell Kin Chi, please can you do me a report on that? She will do a report because she do it for a cause. We are, for example, in the FMAS we have people who are working, but all the members of the board are working also. We are not paid, but I can do a workshop. I can give my time to training. It's kind of us had some expertise. They use it for the civil society. For example, I go to Morocco. I was working on Saturday and Sunday. I'm in South Morocco to go to training for free for a group. They pay me nothing. I pay my hotel. I pay my things from my pocket, if I can. When you can have no job, the people bring you and you sleep in their home. I don't need a hotel. You know, it's there is a big issues in Morocco from that, because we are not like in Tunisia now. There is all the funders are there. For example, here in Morocco you have the funders, but never, for example, they want to work with us because about what we are doing. They are not coming to say, there is a program, can you put your money there? I spoke about the real social movement, not the ones who came and said, okay, there is money, can you do that for us? You know, some funders come to, because there is a fund from their country, and they came with their agenda and they want to put you on that. Never accept. When we do the observation of the election the first time, we do it without zero money. All the 3,000 volunteers in Morocco, and over Morocco, working by themselves voluntarily, without no money. And when the next elections, all the group in NED, in DI, all the international want to come to see us. Oh, we want to help you with money to do that. Okay, want to help us? Great. But we don't put your logo. It's no logo, because we don't need money. If you want to give us technology, because before we go to the school, because we have a friend in the school had computers, and we have students, can you be volunteer to enter the database? They help us because they give us our school. But if you give us computers, we will put it in the office and bring some people and pay them to do that. Okay, but we don't put logo. No, okay, go. And they gives you money because they need to put it. They have an agenda. The same thing with the European Union on the elections. We don't put your things on it. It's clear. When you are clear, you don't be afraid, you can move. But there is other groups who take money because they need to be money, and they are bigger, but they do nothing in the field. This is the difference. I'm the Ash from 70s until 95, 96, 97. People work with them. They do, by night, the newspaper, with the hands, and putting things with hands and putting things by hands and try to do that. It was really, really interesting.